so much we talk about the local view, and when you, I mean, I'm speaking for me personally here. When you cover one team, and I'm a sicko, and when I'm not covering Blazers games, I'm watching NBA games endlessly. Let me just quick shout out to YouTube TV and the 4 box with NBA
Okay.
League Pass.
Hey,
Literally having 4 games up on the screen.
bigs up.
Oh
Big ups,
God,
bros.
that is just it's the only thing that League Pass product has gotten right. Also, on that note, maybe breaking some news here. Don't be surprised if you see League Pass thoroughly disrupted and improved this summer.
Oh, really?
With the move to Amazon and NBC happening, the NBA does not want that product, League Pass product, to suck going into that.
Yeah, all right.
So it might finally happen. It was going to happen next summer, regardless. Either Amazon or YouTube was going to, like, Amazon has the right of first refusal on it, which
Sure.
I don't think they're passing on. But it was going to be Amazon or YouTube that was going to pick up the product next year and go forward with it. Now it sounds like it might happen this summer.
All right.
So
that's good.
Yeah. And again, the national view, like Kevin Pelton's up in Seattle. He does come down for some games, but he's not here every single night. And Lord bless him, because he definitely didn't want to be here in the early parts of the year for what the season was for the Blazers. But if you look around the landscape, whether it's CBS Sports, whether it's ESPN and Pelton and the guys there, in general, basically everyone has graded the Trailblazers season as a B or B+.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the win total. It's because of what they found in Toumani Camara, of which the awards were due, I believe, yesterday at 3 p.m. So we should start getting the first leaks for who made what teams and stuff like that, probably I would imagine starting tomorrow.
Perfect.
So, but the so much of this was concentrated on Toumani Camara and his development and him becoming basically an all-defensive team player. Like that's real. Denny Avdia, and not just I've heard from multiple voters that they are going to put Denny as their most improved. He's not going to win it.
But that is a little nod. It'll be on his Basketball Reference.
He was 7th last year in MIP, and I think he'll probably finish right around the same spot, because one of Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley is probably going to win it, which to me is not the spirit of that award. It's honestly, it should probably go to Norm Powell. If I had a vote, I think it's probably where I'd put it.
Norman Powell, and that's a weird thing. It's like
a guy who's 31 years old.
But it should be like a resurgence player of the year.
Sure. I mean, they had the comeback player of the year, but a lot of times that was because of somebody being suspended for drugs.
Well,
which is where this has kind of gone to.
Comeback player of the year, Norm Powell would fit into the Joe Flacco comeback player of the year. It's like, just because he's old and he came back and played okay, doesn't make him a comeback player of the year.
He wasn't injured. It's just like he's just playing on a level that he's
neither was Joe Flacco.
Fair. He was just out of the league. But if you take a look at where they kind of have things, like
DeMar Hamlin died.
I've seen a bunch of people who are like, well, the Blazers could have been further down in the standings and they would have improved their draft lottery odds. Why couldn't they be like the Toronto Raptors? This is what Kevin Pelton had to say about the Toronto Raptors. No team finished closer than 4 games in the standings to the Raptors, symbolic of their aimless position between the group competing for the play-in and those prioritizing lottery positioning. Toronto couldn't avoid going 12-12 in March and April against a historically weak schedule and will enter the lottery in the 7th spot. There are some development success stories, including Ochai Agbaji and undrafted rookie Jameson Battle, but their most important players, Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley, saw their progress stalled by injuries. D+. D+. They got nothing out of this year. And that's what I talk about, like when the Blazers, if you go, well, what if they had gone to the young guys and they had lost a few more games? Like, you probably would have been here. At best, probably 7th. If you squint, maybe 6th best odds. But you would have probably shut down Shaedon Sharpe. You would have probably shut down Toumani Camara. You would have probably shut down Denny Avdia. The 3 players that right now have shown the biggest leaps in growth and the best opportunity to push forward. And you wouldn't have really gotten that much out of it. That's where I ultimately end up falling on this. In that the gains that you got, regardless of the wins, losses, I don't care. The identity and growth of those guys, and that's kind of the overwhelming sentiment from basically every report card that we have. As it pertains to the Trailblazers, Pelton did give them a B, and that's ahead of teams like the Jazz, who ended up as a B-. The Knicks is a B-.
See, wait, the Jazz got a B- there. Their coach went absolutely bonkers on their team, hated the losing. They lost an incredible amount of games, but what is the reasoning behind them getting a B- there?
So this is word for word, bar for bar. Mission accomplished. The Wizards' last-second win on the final day of the regular season assured Utah the league's worst record in a top 5 pick, their first since taking Dante Exum number 5 in 2014. Still, it would have been nice to see more progress from the young players already on Utah's roster. Rookie guards Isaiah Collier and Cody Williams predictably took their lumps, and the development of 2023 lottery pick Taylor Hendricks was upended by a season-ending injury in November.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, what do you have on your roster?
Yeah.
Outside of Larry Markkinen and Walker Kessler, what else do you have? And that's the question is, did they put those guys in enough of a position to develop?
But the whole thing, what he started with, mission accomplished, right? The Blazers, they didn't expect to win games this year.
No.
And look, the idea that they were gunning for the play-in, don't agree with it. But if your mission is to get your odds better to land the transcendent player, you can accomplish that mission and still see some growth from guys. Like, you can do it.
That's the thing, is they didn't.
But you can do it by pulling the ripcord and saying enough is enough.
It's probably one of the things I want to do this summer is take a look at that and look at the tanking. And again, this isn't just for the Blazers, just in general. How many players, let's say how many players selected in the lottery during this period who end up playing on tanking teams for 3-4 years, how many of them actually turn out? Because off the top of my head, I feel like that number is going to be pretty low.
Yeah, but if you're going to take the path of the Houston Rockets, which apparently the Blazers are, being in the top 4 matters.
Sure.
Because that's what they did. For 4 straight years, we're in the top 4. And like that is how they built this thing out. And the thing about it is, like, players either have it or you don't, right? You either have it or you don't.
The draft is so luck dependent. It's not even funny. Like, again, when you're talking about the Houston Rockets, one of those top 4 picks, number 3, is Reed Shepherd.
Yeah.
Is he your normal number 3 overall pick? Probably not.
No, he's a rookie still. Yeah. But you either have it or you don't. And whether it is Deni Avdija, Toumani Camara, Shaedon Sharpe, wouldn't they have it? Even if you shut them down this year, wouldn't you still have it? Because that's the whole thing. If those guys, and what you were like, oh my gosh, they surprised everybody. They still have that within them.
Yes, I don't know how much it actually happens if you're shutting all the other guys down around them earlier, because remember how bad Deni's start was. And then he came off the bench for, was it 20 games? It was January 18th or 19th. It was like right when that run started was when Deni came back from the ankle injury and became a starter. And that's when that run happened. If you're talking about shutting him down post All-Star break or right thereafter, that means you had 2 weeks of it. And is that...
But you have it.
2 weeks is a sample size.
But
now?
no, the guys, if they have it, they have it, right? And so if you shut them down, what would change heading into this off season?
I think you're still looking at the data collection part of it because it's such a small sample.
And that is totally fine, because the goal is to acquire talent. Talent acquisition is number 1. The talent would have been here and would have stayed here. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the Blazer fans sit, is that, look, those guys were still going to be on the roster, and you exponentially help your odds to get that transcendent star.
Well, I've read to you all the other teams. This is what KP had to say with the Blazers. The Blazers managed to go from the bottom of the West standings to an unlikely play-in push by virtue of their internal development. Forwards Deni Avdija and Toumani Camara emerged as building blocks, while Scoot Henderson showed important progress. One concern: The defensive improvement that helped earn coach Chauncey Billups and GM Joe Cronin contract extension was built in part on poor opponent three-point shooting. That's three-point variance, and that is very true. I mentioned this. It was either in the post game or in one of my articles in late February. Trailblazers opponents could not hit a corner three to save their life. It was something like 31%. It was over a long stretch.
And they played a lot of really bad offensive teams in the back half of the season.
However, Portland also forced more difficult shots and ranked third in forcing turnovers over the final 41 games.
All right.
So basically,
Thanks to Denny.
Yeah, KP. What he's saying is the defensive identity is real. How much of it though is based on opponent 3-point variance. Now you're going to have ebbs and flows of it through a season. Like that just happens. You get teams that are hot, you get teams that are cold. The only thing you can really influence is where shots come from, and you can try to you can talk about limiting corner threes, but the reason corner threes happen is because of multiple actions. That's why they're high quality shots. Not only is it the shortest distance, but corner threes you don't run plays to get corner threes. They happen because a defense is in rotation, and that is typically either early in the clock, like transition opportunities, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, those kind of situations, or deep in the clock after two rotations where somebody leaves the strong side corner and that shot develops.
Unless you're Ray Allen in the NBA Finals. Other than that, you're
you don't design quote unquote corner threes because teams are trained to take that away earlier in the that's why you see why they hurt so much.
Biggest criticism of Terry Stotts in the defense that the Blazers played was they allowed an ungodly amount of corner threes
earlier in the clock.
Yeah.
And that's those are backbreakers. And that's one of the things the Blazers, despite Chauncey Billups being this, quote unquote hooper, he does pay attention and believe in analytics. It's not the full embrace of a JJ Redick, but he's not telling the analytics office to go to hell. And don't get me wrong, there are coaches in the NBA that do not believe in them.
Most of them are former players. That is actually a feather in the cap of Chauncey Billups right there.
Again, we've talked about the Blazers offense and how if you gave them a league average field goal percentage from where they shoot, they would have the most efficient offense in the NBA because of where they generate shots from. They are threes, they are corner threes, and shots at the rim. And again, the analytical profile, shots at the rim, shots from three, particularly in the corners. And those are the things that they generate. They just don't finish them. So they got that going for them.
That's a problem.
But if you're looking at it, and again, this is me trying to be optimistic. If you're looking for things of where there are clear areas of growth, being better as a paint finishing team and being a better 3-point shooting team. Yep. Those are two very clear areas of growth where if they are able to accentuate that, if they are able to grow that, that's how they improve.